It's some weird technical jargon that I've not seen. What's happening, people? It's your boy LJ Edits from The Big Edit. Now, during this quarantine, I've taken it upon myself to learn a few things, like Spanish, como te llamas, como estás, learn coding, building apps. But I know there's some of you out there that has worlds of footage but don't know what to do with it. So count this as lesson 1 of your editing experience. This will be from a Final Cut perspective. I will kind of explain some things to translate into Premiere, but I think I might have to do a separate tutorial for that. But anyways, enough with the jib jabber, let's get into it. When it comes to creating content, you gotta be mindful of where the content's going. Is it gonna be for Instagram stories, Snapchat, or in this day and age, TikTok, which is a thing now? Or is it gonna be something that can cross all platforms like YouTube, Vimeo, or anything else? I say that to bear this in mind. There's 2 types of shooting, landscape and portrait. Portrait will be vertical and landscape will be the whole screen. If you're gonna make your stuff, you need to be absolutely sure what that is going to be. Now, you might have things that are filmed on your iPhone and filmed on, a proper camera. And to kind of blend the two sometimes gets a bit awkward. To kind of make it a bit more easier for you, I would suggest this. Shoot your main focus dead in the middle. So if you have to make an advert of something which is for your Instagram stories but needs to be able to hit YouTube, at least if the content's in the middle, you can kind of maneuver things around. And that's kind of a good way around it. So that's 2 things I've told you. Third thing I would say is be wary of frame rates. Now, I say iPhone, I say Android, because I don't know what you have. If you've got proper cameras, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Your native shooting frame rate on the iPhone is 30 frames per second. And I think it's probably the same thing on Android. You can change it to 30, 60, and 120. Those are the native frame rates. Now, if you shoot at 24 on a camera, it looks a bit more cinematic. So to kind of counteract all of those, I would change your settings in your iPhone or your whatever device you have to 60 frames per second. Once you've done that, all your 60 frames per second slow-mo footage, or 120 or 240 if that, can now be slowed down so you get a bit more, whoa, yeah. We've opened up Final Cut Pro. Obviously on mine, there's a whole load of stuff on there. I've not opened up all my libraries. If this kind of looks like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, or if you're familiar with iMovie, it kind of looks very similar, right? First thing you want to do is you're going to go to File, you're going to make a new library. I would say from this point onwards, make a new folder, and let's just call it Big Edit Tutorial. And call the library something like Lesson 1. This is important because this is now where the start of your whole journey is going to really begin. You don't want the stuff to kind of just be situated in one place. You kind of want to make sure you know where everything is. So this comes down to render file, effects, and certain things, like little things like that. It all makes sense once I go through it. Check your storage locations over here, and then tell that to be basically in this section here, which is your folder that you've just made. In library for motion content, choose to cache this. Now cache this.
It's something that will take up a lot of space on your computer if you're not careful. So kind of make sure you're
wary of where it's put and can you delete it at any point in time. Right, and then finally your backups. Choose your backups to the same place so you know where everything's at. So now when you go back to this folder over here, you can see that these are the stuff that you've kind of just laid down. So that's basically opening a project or getting something ready. You then want to make a new event. Default, it will make an event over here, but you want to make a new event. And let's just call that Getting Started. By default, people make this mistake very commonly. And when you see their edit, it might just look a bit, oh my God, wow! People use this setting called Use Automatic Settings. based on what your video is showing. And you can see it all over stuff like Grime Daily, or even just like other vloggers, like I wouldn't say Patricia Bright does this mistake or anything like that. Other people around her field have done it. And you can see that the speed of the video is like, whoa, why is it moving like they're in water? And that's because they've used a setting saying that we've detected your camera that you've shot is in 100 frames per second. So we're gonna make a whole project 100 frames per second just to make sure that you edit it and it looks normal. It's not normal. So this is why I'm saying you have to use custom settings over here. Then, let's just say for this project, we're gonna use 1080 HD 1920 by 1080, which is landscape. And the frame rate is 23.98. By now, you've got an actual folder for where your footage is gonna go into when you see Final Cut. Press Command I to see where your footage is at. So let's just say we're gonna use this footage here. Shout out to MBL for being on this shoot with us. He was helping, very great guy. And you know, he was using his 5D Mark II at the time to help us shoot. All right, cool. So now we've got all our footage here. So now you can see it's gone into two modes. I would call it scrub through mode so you can see what's going on. Or you can go into list mode, which will tell you the file names that you do have. Now, to make it easier in some cases, if there's not a lot of clips and you kind of know what it's really about, you can scrub through. If there's a lot of clips or you need to kind of understand the storyline or you really want to get the best out of it, name every single shot up by clicking it, go to the I button, and let's just say holding camera 1-1. So now, if I want to look for holding camera 1-1, I could just click on the search button here and just press holding camera 1-1, and I can look through that clip and only that clip. We've not placed anything on the timeline yet. We're just basically showing you the layout of where things are. So you've got your browser, which is here. You've got your inspector guide over here. I can't remember the official name of it, but somebody will comment me on it anyways. And then you've got your information about all that stuff that the clip has over this side. So now it comes to a thing where we select what we like about the footage and drop stuff down. So I'm gonna switch it back to scrub through mode. So let's just say there's a shot of me and my guy C's arts, and you press I and O to kind of select the part that you do like. Once you've done that, you can press E to drop it down onto your timeline. Once it's on your timeline, you can see that you're gonna have a little bit more information come up on the side. This is like scale to zoom in, zoom out. You can move it left or right. Y will be up or down. If you press on the side, you'll see like there's a reset button here and rotate. Anything over this side is just to reset certain movements. So now you've got I would say the controls of what's going on. So that is really like the basis of what the editing is. It's not complicated, it's just literally pick what you like and drop it into your timeline. It's all about building your story. Now, obviously to here, this doesn't really look as much, but if I was to let me turn down the audio. So if you look closer, right, you can see it says 0 dB over certain sections. And once you do that, you can kind of pull down the audio and then you mute the audio. Or another way to kind of get around this easier is in and out another clip, right? And you press Shift 2. The next clip you drop after you press E has no audio, so you don't have to pull down the audio. Just to quickly take note. Shift 1 is the clip with audio. Shift 2 is the clip with no audio. Shift 3 is just the audio. And those are kind of quick cheat codes of how you can kind of speed up your workflow and speed up your ways of getting through the edit. So yeah, that's pretty much most of the things you would go through in just making a clean project. On the side over here is like all your effects that you kind of have. One is like effects to kind of adjust what you'd use, like keyframes, but we can get into that into the next section. And the other one is transitions. So with that being said, make sure you join the mailing list. Subscribe to whatever we can subscribe to. I think I'm gonna keep it on IGTV. That's where I kind of feel it belongs. I've always been an advocate of IGTV. So yeah, man, www.thebigedit.co.uk. You can still purchase your tickets for when the event is happening. And if you are new to this whole thing, this is your first lesson. All right, peace.